Allison Baden Clay had a life that looked perfect. She was a poised, successful woman. She was 43 years old. She had 3 little girls. She spoke 6 languages, including French and Japanese. From the outside, her world seemed bright and polished. She lived in a beautiful house in Brookfield, a nice suburb of Brisbane. Her husband, Gerald Baden Clay, owned a real estate agency. Their family photos showed bright, wide smiles. They did the normal things. They did school runs. They took family holidays. You should consider her life like a beautiful gift box sitting on a coffee table. The ribbon is tied perfectly. The paper is smooth. You assume the contents must be just as perfect and valuable. That is exactly how Allison's life looked to everyone who saw it. It was a perfect facade. But inside that box, the truth was something dark and ugly. Allison worked as an executive at a travel company. She had her own income. Gerald ran his own business. The business started to struggle badly. The housing market was difficult. Money problems put a massive, crushing stress on their home. Money stress does not create abuse by itself, but it can easily expose something cruel that is already hidden inside a person. For Gerald, her husband, that financial pressure pulled something very dark to the surface. This is the story of how a perfect image became a weapon. This is how a successful woman had her entire world stolen from her. This is how a family's life became a crime scene. Gradually, Allison's world began to shrink. The change did not happen in one sudden dramatic moment. It happened in many small steps. These small steps were almost impossible to name or define as abuse. The very first small sign involved their money. Gerald, her husband, declared he would manage all the family finances. He told Allison she was too busy at her executive job. He called this helping. Soon after, Gerald started quietly draining Allison's personal savings accounts. He used the money to prop up his failing business. He started constantly belittling her appearance. He criticized her intelligence. He criticized her job. These were tiny, almost daily injuries. They slowly eroded Allison's strong sense of self-worth. He was chipping away at her identity. Imagine someone moving the furniture in your house just 1 inch every single night. On Monday, the couch is where it should be. By Friday, the room feels completely wrong. You are walking strange paths through your own familiar house. You feel disoriented. You know something is off, but you cannot name the exact moment it started. That is the way Gerald controlled his wife, Allison. Each small request seemed reasonable. First, he asked for her phone password. He said it was just to add her to a cheaper family plan. The next week, he demanded to know her location whenever she was out. He claimed it was to make meeting up easier. The field was shrinking around her. She realized her private space was disappearing.
Before we go on, a small favor, please subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. Thank you, and let's continue with the story.
The control formed a clear and frightening pattern. This pattern was consistent. Gerald insisted that Allison cut off contact with her closest friends. He told her these friends were toxic. He told her they did not support her marriage to him. He was trying to isolate his wife from any outside perspective. Isolation is the first key step of control. Gerald was also having extramarital affairs. He was forced to borrow money constantly. He worked hard to maintain a perfect, respectable image for his community. He needed this image to keep his business going. But at home, Gerald was constantly tightening the cage around his wife. This behavior is called coercive control. That is when one person systematically manages and controls another person's life. This happens through intimidation and manipulation. Coercive control is not about one fight. It is about a consistent pattern of power. Everyone in the community saw Gerald as a very charming, professional man. He was the picture of a stable husband. Allison's own mother heard her say that Gerard was a very narcissistic person, but people tend to believe the easy story they are shown. Gerard's story was charming. It was believable. One of Allison's longtime friends noticed a change. Allison, the woman who spoke 6 languages and was once Miss Brisbane, had suddenly gotten quieter. She stopped calling her friends. She was losing her strong voice. Allison knew something was desperately wrong in her marriage. Her body was giving her clear signals, but she struggled to put a name on the insidious feeling. She struggled to believe it. A smoke detector in your kitchen might scream loudly because of burnt toast. It screams again because of fireplace smoke. After 6 false alarms, you might finally decide to take the battery out. That is what Gerard did to Allison's instincts. Every time her gut screamed danger, Gerard had a perfectly rational explanation for her fear. He made her feel guilty for questioning him. After months of his false alarms, she eventually stopped listening to the detector. Allison felt crazy for being scared. As the financial stress increased, Gerard's control became worse. He was constantly running out of money. He demanded her full attention. Gerard monitored his wife's phone all the time. He started telling neighbors and colleagues that Allison was mentally unstable. He claimed she had depression. This was part of his overall disguise. Gerard was creating a narrative he could use later to explain her strange behavior or her disappearance. Allison once planned a complete exit. This was years before she went missing. She rented a small apartment in a different part of the city. She started packing her bags quietly, telling only her sister. Gerard realized Allison was serious about leaving him. He had been checking her phone and found evidence of the apartment. He staged a dramatic and emotional collapse. He begged her to stay in the marriage for the sake of their 3 daughters. Gerard used the girls as leverage to control his wife. He said she was destroying their family. Allison packed her bags away again. She stayed for the children. Eventually, Allison started documenting everything that happened. This was her true moment of clarity. She saved texts and took screenshots of their bank accounts. She kept detailed journals of what Gerard did. This crucial documentation, her private record, speaks for her now. It became her silent voice of warning. Allison was carefully preparing for a future escape. She was gathering her proof. She told her sister, "I feel like I'm going mad, but I am keeping notes." She knew her memory was failing her. She knew her instincts were compromised. Trying to explain a terrible nightmare to a close friend is difficult. The fear felt absolutely real inside your mind. You wake up sweating. But when you try to say the story out loud, the confusing details, the sheer strangeness, it sounds insane. Allison felt a danger she could not clearly define. When she tried to articulate it, it sounded like paranoia, so she decided to keep her growing fear a secret. She focused on collecting the facts instead.
Before we go on, a small favor, please subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. Thank you, and let's continue with the story.
Allison's world became an endless series of broken boundaries. He used her love for her children against her. He used her commitment to her job against her. First, she found a part-time job outside the home. She desperately needed her own money to plan her separation. Gerard immediately claimed she was wasting money on gas to get there. He said she should be home with the children. He forced Allison to quit that job after just 2 weeks. Second, she set up a secret bank account. Allison hoped to save some money for her eventual escape. She put small amounts away for months. Gerard found the account information. He immediately drained all the money from it, leaving her with nothing. He told her she was acting like a teenager hiding things. Third, she tried to go out with a group of her old friends. She wanted a night of normal company. Gerard continuously called her phone 14 times in 2 hours. That is one phone call every 8 minutes. He made her feel guilty for leaving him alone. She stopped going out completely. Gerard successfully isolated her from anyone who might tell her the truth. She was completely alone inside her own home. Allison once wrote a long text message to a trusted friend. She described in detail how Gerard was completely controlling her life. She ended the text with, "I just need a clear exit." She almost pressed the send button. She hesitated for 1 minute. She reread the message. Then she deleted the entire message. She did not want to cause a major confrontation that night. The smallest choices eventually led to the biggest consequences. We must answer the core question: why didn't Allison just leave Gerard? This question misses the full, terrifying power of the trap she was in. Allison was fighting a constant war between her gut feeling and social pressure. Her gut screamed, danger. But society tells women a different story. It tells them to be nice. It tells them to be polite. It tells them to not be dramatic. It tells them they must give their husband another chance. Allison was repeatedly trained to ignore her own survival fear. Think about walking alone late at night. Your body tenses up. You quickly cross the street. Then you see it is just a neighbor walking their dog. You feel foolish for being so scared. You feel paranoid. Women repeat this internal math every single day. They override their real fear because it is probably nothing. Allison did this for too long. Her gut screamed loudly when Gerard showed up at her gym unannounced. She knew it was surveillance, but Gerard brought flowers. He promised he missed her terribly. If she called his act surveillance, she would sound crazy to others. So she called it romantic. She stayed silent. This is the precise structure of the control system. It uses love and fear in equal measure. Allison was facing more than just emotional abuse. She was facing a calculated, serious threat to her life and to her children. Allison had told her friends that Gerard constantly threatened to use his real estate connections to destroy her reputation. He threatened to claim she was mentally unstable in court. She knew if she left, Gerard would fight her to take custody of their girls. He had made that specific threat explicit and real. Imagine you are stuck in quicksand. Every single move you make to escape makes you sink faster and deeper. Even staying perfectly still means you are sinking. There is no safe, easy move to make. That was Allison's calculation for her survival. Leave calmly, Gerard will follow her. Run away, Gerard will escalate the situation and take the children. Stay and manage him carefully, and maybe she can wait for a safer path. There was absolutely no safe move. There were only differing degrees of danger. She stayed to protect her daughters. The moment she knew. In the period before she went missing, she started preparing a new will. She wrote a specific statement declaring her husband was capable of violence. She had to document this fact. She had to leave a clear trail for investigators. She was planning her own exit strategy and legal defense. On the night she went missing, Allison was gone. Gerard told the police she had simply walked out of their home. He claimed he had been asleep in bed the entire time. Gerard acted the part of the concerned, grieving husband. He made sure he cried for the cameras. The police began a search. In the first days, Gerard played the part perfectly. He gave emotional interviews. He hugged his daughters for the cameras. He showed the police text messages that supported his story. But the police quickly checked his story against the hard facts. They knew stories could lie. Data could not. Phone records work like receipts from a retail store. They prove where you physically were, not just where you said you were. Gerard swore he was home, asleep in bed. But the police looked at his phone data. His phone had a clear receipt that disproved his story completely. His phone pinged a cell tower that was over 3 miles away from his house. This ping happened in the middle of the night. Then the phone pinged a tower near a remote, difficult creek. After that, his phone went completely silent. The digital footprint proved his lie. The creek area was extremely muddy. Gerard had spent hours cleaning his car thoroughly. He claimed he was only trying to fix his car's battery that night. He was vague and nervous. But the police found mud and leaves from the creek stuck inside his wheel wells. The mud was an exact match for the creek area. The detail that broke it open. Sometime later, Allison's body was eventually found. She was near that exact creek. Gerard had visible scratches on his face, arms, and neck. He claimed they were only from shaving. He claimed he used a faulty razor. But forensic analysis proved those scratches were defensive wounds. A human fingernail made those marks during a struggle. His entire story was a lie. His scratches were undeniable evidence. He confessed to only one thing. He admitted he had moved her body, but he insisted she had died accidentally during a small argument. The court found his version of events to be a complete fabrication. Digital evidence is made of breadcrumbs. Every text, every Google search, every phone location leaves a crumb behind. Gerard tried to sweep up the evidence. He tried to delete the damning files. But forensics finds the crumbs even when they are hidden under the rug. This is how the truth is always found. Here is the exact pattern of coercive control that exposed the truth. 1. First, isolation. He cut off her friends and her family. 2. Then, financial domination. He took all the money, making her completely dependent on him. 3. Next, reputational attack. He started telling people she was mentally unstable or paranoid to discredit her. 4. Finally, violence. When the control failed, the violence and murder appeared as a last resort. This is exactly what this specific, calculated type of abuse always looks like. The court learned that Gerard had a mistress. He was facing immense financial pressure. He was planning to leave Allison but keep the house, the money, and the community image of the stable family man. The only possible way to achieve this outcome was to permanently eliminate his wife. The only way to keep his mask on was to silence her forever. The court did not believe his story of an accidental death. They found that he intended to murder her. He was found guilty. Gerald Baden Clay was found guilty of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison. Allison's own voice, her documented evidence, her texts, her internal fear, got the final and most powerful word in the courtroom. Her tragic story now fuels change. Her name stands behind new laws that finally recognize coercive control as a serious crime. Her life teaches women a necessary and crucial lesson about believing what they see. Uncertainty. Residue. One small but critical element was never fully explained. Police never found the second, secret mobile phone he was using to contact his mistresses. They knew the phone existed. They knew he had destroyed it to hide his final contact. But that second, missing phone was never located. Here is the final wisdom to carry with you always. Think of food poisoning. You do not actually get sick from one single bad bite of food. You get sick from the whole meal. One rough comment from a partner? That could be stress from a bad day. One single fight about money? That could be normal conflict. But an entire meal of systematic isolation, constant insults, forced secrecy, and total control, that is not an accident. That is poisoning. Now you know exactly what this pattern looks like. When someone's supposed stability is built entirely on your silence, your isolation, and your quiet fear, that is not true safety. That is a warning. Trust that knowledge.
If you'd like to keep exploring cases like this, there's another one waiting for you on screen. I think you'll find it meaningful. Click on it, and thank you for watching.